Ooh, welcome everyone to the Daily Juice Podcast on the Betting Pros Network. I'm your host, Sean Stacking the Money Green. Give me a follow on Twitter at Sean T. Green. While Twitter is still a thing, who knows what's going on over there. As always, Daily Juice is being brought to you by BetMGM. Use a promo code JUICE. $10 bet turns into $200 in free bets if either team scores a touchdown. Good for college and pro. Restrictions apply. Hey, pretty fun Thursday night football. Not necessarily because of what transpired on the field. Super ugly game. Just ugly all around. Should have maybe even gotten in on the under, although things got a little scary there late if you were on the under. But I went 3-1, so feeling pretty good about that. Always love a nice winning primetime slate in the National Football League. Got a couple college football plays for tonight and a NBA basketball play. Going over to the hardwood, as I like to say. All right, 3-1 recap, and one of those plays was 2 units, so let's get to that. Get the loss out of the way, and the loss was close, too. I had the under on Drake London receiving yards at 34.5. He ended up getting 38, so again, only 3.5 yards off there. I wish, and I'm sure someone is cooking it up, but I wish you could take, like, the Deonta Foreman one, the over we were on, 53.5 rush yards. He got 130. I wish I could take some of those yards and somehow swap them out on the Drake London bet that barely lost. And then when the Foreman bet hit, it was great. You cash by halftime. But the gambler in me is, should have had an adjusted line. Should have put in a same game parlay. Yeah, that's why I'm a DJ. Kyle Pitts under 3.5 receptions. He's just not a good fit for this offense. Maybe he'll end up being good one day, but they're just not throwing the ball. Again, when they do, they spread it all over the place. He's the pray and spray guy. Only got 2 catches for Kyle Pitts. And then last but not least, 2-unit play on the Panthers +3, 25-15. Almost kind of let him back in that game. I mean, and really the Panthers defensive line was just pressuring Mariota the entire game. Not a necessarily pretty game by any means. I mean, the Panthers didn't look great themselves at times. I think for me, the highlight of the game was one of the defenders for the Panthers. I think one of the safeties, I forget his name, but a Falcons guy was coming across. He, of course, leads with his helmet, tries to knock the guy unconscious, and then has Inspire Change on the back of his helmet. Like, you're helping. I love when the guys on defense have stop hate, but I'm really going to try and hurt you. But stop hate. Seriously, guys, hate is bad. I agree. Hate is bad. You know what I hate? I hate that some people haven't taken advantage of their free chance to win an autographed Kenneth Walker jersey. I'm going to inspire change. You don't have a Kenneth Walker jersey in your life. You might get one if you go to youtube.com/bettingpros, hit the subscribe button, comment on this video, and next thing you know, you got a chance to win an autographed jersey courtesy of Pristine Auction. All right, let's get to the picks. Friday night. Oh, man. It's just so great. 27 days of football. I don't even know what day we're in. I don't even want to look at it. They need to make like an advent calendar for football for these 27 days. I would definitely buy it. Little chocolate footballs you get to open up. And, oh, look, what's this? Cincinnati -4.5 at home against ECU. I understand why some would be on the ECU Pirates. Looking good. Had a nice win against BYU. Coming off a bye here. But I think ECU may be smelling themselves a little bit, and I think this is a tough spot for them. I understand why people might be on ECU hot hand, but Cincinnati, they've won 31 straight games at home. Now, it's maybe not quite the Cincinnati teams they had previously, obviously not the Cincinnati team that went to the playoff, but this Cincinnati team winning at home on Friday night is really tough to do, and I don't think ECU is up for the challenge. And if they're not going to win, I don't know if they can cover this 4.5. Cincinnati 7-0 against the spread, last 7 games at home against ECU. Like I said, ECU's coming off that BYU win, had a week to smell themselves. And ECU's kind of been hot and cold with their tackling, and I think Cincinnati has the offense to take advantage of it. On on a Friday night, hostile environment in Cincinnati. Maybe get a little bit of weather going here for the Bearcats. And last but not least, ECU, their defense is 51st in pass rush rate. I think you give Cincinnati a little bit of time to throw the ball, they're going to take advantage of it. So give me Cincinnati laying 4.5 at home over on DraftKings. All right, next up, Pac-12 action. Although I don't know if you would even really call this action. It's just going to be a bloodbath. Colorado at USC. USC minus 34.5. Now, normally I would be scared to take USC against a team like Colorado a week before the UCLA game because maybe they're looking ahead. But I think you got to make an exception for this situation. One, this Colorado Buffs team is just historically, comically bad. They got destroyed. They got lit up. They're like the receiver going across the middle, and the transfer portal just came, took their block off, and you're seeing it in the results. Buffs have a minus 222 point differential. That's really hard to do if you're a, Power 5 team and you've only had 9 games. That's very, very tough. So they've just been horrible. I mean, they're coming off a 39-point loss at home to Oregon State, who obviously – USC at home, you like that situation better if you were just comparing it. I think really why I like this USC team, and I was off on USC. I thought they'd be good, but I think I was on the under on their win total. I thought they would just be a little bit disappointing because of all the change and just, resetting the entire program essentially. But I mean, things are clicking for this USC team. I will say this though. I think why I like them in this game, laying 34.5, which is comical. I almost was going to take USC minus 21.5 for the first half. I leaned full game because looking at some of the doing the deeper research on Colorado, they fall apart in the second half. So we might actually end up seeing an okay effort from Colorado in the first half. Okay by Colorado standards. Again, they're a 21.5 point dog in the first half. This is a Caleb Williams pad your stat night, right? Like Caleb Williams right now, he's plus 900 to win the Heisman. So obviously he's not the favorite, or even I think he's like 4th as far as odds. So he's coming in here, 64.6% of his passes, 42 yards, 28 touchdowns, only 1 interception. So his stats are already looking pretty good. But if you can add another like 4 or 5 touchdowns, maybe another nice 400 yards, and they have some tough games coming up. Obviously UCLA, Notre Dame, which I still can't figure out whether that team is good or not good and when they're going to show up. But certainly that is a good get-up spot for them. And if you're Caleb Williams, you're thinking about your stats and thinking about how you're going to impress the Heisman voters, this is a great way to pad the stats. And, you can follow it up with some quality wins here later on in the year. But I think this is a Caleb Williams pad the stat game. Lincoln Riley is going to make sure he gets his. So give me USC. Fight on. Feels gross saying it. I don't really have a dog in the fight, but might be going to the UCLA USC game, and I'm always going to go UCLA versus USC. They're a local team, a couple miles away from our studio here. I've come to terms with what Chip Kelly did in the NFL, and so I'm okay with him. He found his home back in college football. Let's go, Bruins. They're not Saturday. I actually might go to that game, so stay tuned. What do we got here? Oh, yes, my NBA pick. Pistons plus 8.5 at the Knicks. Get that over on BetMGM. Pistons played pretty well against the Celtics, but ultimately the Celtics shot really well from behind the arc. That's what did them in. Shouldn't be an issue with the Knicks, though. Knicks are 23rd in the league, shooting only 33.2% from behind the arc. And Knicks aren't great from the free throw line either. They're 22nd in the league compared to the Pistons, who are 12th in the league. Knicks are like an up and down team. For me, 8.5 is way too much. Cade Cunningham is questionable for this game. That's probably why we're getting the maybe a little higher spread here. I like it regardless. I hope he plays. It's a shin issue. It seems like truly game time decision. So I'm taking the 8.5. Maybe we get lucky and he plays. Either way, I like it. And I just think this Knicks team, I haven't seen anything out of them that warrants them being an 8.5 point favorite against a team like the Pistons that, while not great, but I think they are They can rebound okay. They can hit their free throws. And I think they're going to stick around in this game. So give me the Detroit Pistons plus 8.5. Give me USC laying 34.5. Give me Cincinnati minus 4.5. So a little chalky with the college football. And then a nice little dog there for the Detroit Pistons. Hey, BetMGM.com, promo code JUICE. Bet $10, get $200 in free bets. Follow us on TikTok at Betting Pros. Follow me on Twitter at Sean T. Green. Check out my other podcast, the Sports Gambling Podcast. And you know what to do. Subscribe, rate, and review. And as always, don't forget to let it ride.